You know, Hollywood marriages rarely last. We've all seen it happen time and time again. Beautiful couples who seem perfect together end up splitting after just a few years. The pressure, the fame, the constant spotlight, it all seems to tear people apart. But then there's Keith Urban and Nicole Kidman. For almost 2 decades now, they've been proving everyone wrong. And at 57 years old, Keith Urban is finally opening up about what really makes their marriage work. What he's revealing might surprise you because it's not what you'd expect from 2 of the biggest stars on the planet. Before we dive into Keith's honest confessions, let's go back to where it all began. Because the story of how Keith and Nicole met is actually pretty sweet and kind of unexpected. It was back in early 2005 at an event called G'day LA, which is basically a fancy party that celebrates Australian talent in Hollywood. Both Keith and Nicole are from Australia originally, so they were both there supporting their home country. Now here's the thing, Nicole was already a massive movie star at this point. She'd won an Oscar, starred in huge films, and everyone knew her name. Keith was successful too as a country music artist, but he wasn't quite at the superstar level he is today. When they first met at that event, there was definitely a spark, but neither of them acted on it right away. In fact, Nicole has said in interviews that she thought Keith was really attractive and interesting, but she didn't think he was all that interested in her. Keith has admitted that he was actually really nervous around Nicole. Here was this incredible actress who seemed completely out of his league, and he didn't want to come across as just another guy trying to hit on a famous movie star. So for months after they first met, nothing really happened. They had each other's phone numbers, but neither one was making the first move. Nicole later joked that she waited and waited for Keith to call, and when he finally did, it had been 4 whole months. 4 months of wondering if he was interested, or if she'd just imagined the connection between them. But when Keith finally reached out, things moved pretty quickly. They started dating seriously, and within a year, Keith proposed. They got married in June 2006, in a beautiful ceremony in Sydney, Australia. Nicole wore a stunning white dress, and by all accounts, it was a fairy tale wedding. Everyone thought they looked perfect together. But what people didn't know was that Keith was fighting some serious personal battles behind the scenes. Just 4 months after their wedding, Keith checked himself into rehab. He was struggling with addiction, something he'd battled on and off for years. Now imagine being Nicole in that moment. You've just married this man you love. You're starting your life together, and suddenly he has to go away to get help for 90 days. That would be enough to destroy most brand new marriages. A lot of people would have walked away right then and there. But Nicole didn't. And this is where Keith's recent admissions become really powerful. Keith has said many times that Nicole saved his life. He's been incredibly open about the fact that he was in a really dark place when they got married, even though he tried to hide it. He thought he could manage his problems on his own, that getting married to someone he loved would somehow fix everything. But addiction doesn't work that way. It took real courage for him to admit he needed help, and it took even more strength from Nicole to stand by him during that incredibly difficult time. In recent interviews, Keith has opened up about what those early days were like. He's talked about how scared he was that Nicole would leave him, that she'd realize she'd made a mistake marrying him. But instead, Nicole showed him what real love looks like. She didn't judge him. She didn't give up on him. She supported him through treatment and was there when he came out ready to start fresh. Now at 57, Keith is reflecting on almost 18 years of marriage, and he's getting really honest about what's kept them together. One of the biggest things he talks about is how they've learned to put their relationship first, even above their careers. And that's huge when you think about it. Both of them are incredibly successful. Keith tours all around the world playing concerts for thousands of people. Nicole films movies in different countries and walks red carpets for the biggest events in entertainment. It would be so easy for them to let their careers pull them apart. But Keith has revealed that they have some pretty strict rules about being apart. They try never to go more than a week without seeing each other, no matter what. If Keith is touring in one country and Nicole is filming in another, one of them will jump on a plane to be with the other, even if it's just for a day or two. That level of commitment takes serious effort. It means sometimes turning down work opportunities or rearranging schedules or spending a lot of time traveling. But Keith says it's absolutely worth it because their marriage is more important than any job. Another thing Keith has been really open about is how they communicate. He says that he and Nicole talk about everything, even the hard stuff that a lot of couples avoid. They don't let problems build up or pretend everything is fine when it's not. If something is bothering one of them, they address it right away. Keith admits this wasn't easy for him at first. He grew up in a family where people didn't always express their feelings openly, and he had to learn how to be vulnerable with Nicole. But here's what makes it even more interesting. Keith says that Nicole taught him that being vulnerable isn't weakness, it's actually strength. When he can tell her that he's scared or worried or struggling with something, it brings them closer together instead of pushing them apart. He's learned that hiding his true feelings to try to seem strong actually creates distance between them. So now, he makes a point to be completely honest with her about what's going on in his head and his heart. Keith has also talked about how important it is that they make each other laugh. Despite all the serious challenges they've faced, they've managed to keep joy and fun in their relationship. He says Nicole has an incredible sense of humor and that they're always cracking jokes and being silly together, even after all these years. They don't take themselves too seriously, which is probably pretty important when you're both famous and dealing with constant public attention. Speaking of public attention, that's another challenge they've had to navigate together. Being a celebrity couple means that everyone has an opinion about your relationship. Magazines and websites are constantly writing stories about them, some true and many completely made up. Keith has admitted that learning to ignore all the noise and rumors has been really important for their marriage. There have been countless stories over the years claiming they were getting divorced, or that one of them was cheating, or that they were having all sorts of problems. None of it was true, but it's still hard to see those headlines and not let them affect you. Keith says that early on, those rumors would really upset him. He'd want to defend their marriage publicly or set the record straight. But Nicole, who had been famous much longer, taught him that you can't respond to every false story. You'd spend your whole life trying to correct lies. Instead, they decided to just focus on what's real, which is their actual relationship, not what strangers write about it. They know the truth about their marriage, and that's what matters. One of the most touching things Keith has revealed is how Nicole has helped him become a better father. They have 2 daughters together, Sunday Rose and Faith Margaret. Keith talks about how being a dad has changed him in ways he never expected. He says Nicole is an incredible mother, and that watching her with their girls has taught him so much about patience, kindness, and unconditional love. Keith has been really honest about the fact that balancing his career with being present for his family is an ongoing challenge. When you're a successful musician, there's always pressure to tour more, record more, do more, but Keith has made it clear that his family comes first. He's turned down opportunities that would have kept him away from home too long. He's toured his tours so he can get back to his wife and daughters as often as possible. And he said that Nicole has done the same thing with her acting career. They've also been intentional about keeping their daughters out of the spotlight as much as possible. Even though both parents are famous, they want their girls to have as normal a childhood as they can. Keith has talked about how they do regular family stuff like going to the movies, having dinner together, and just hanging out at home. He doesn't want his daughters growing up thinking that fame and success are the most important things in life. He wants them to understand the value of family, kindness, and being true to yourself. Another aspect of their marriage that Keith has opened up about is faith. Both he and Nicole have said that spirituality plays a role in their relationship. They're not preachy about it, but they've mentioned that having that spiritual foundation helps them stay grounded and focused on what really matters. Keith has said that prayer and faith have helped him through difficult times, especially when he was working on his sobriety. Keith's journey with sobriety is something he still talks about because it's an ongoing part of his life. He's been sober now for many years, but he's said that addiction is something you have to work on every single day. It's not like you go to rehab and then you're cured forever. You have to make the choice to stay sober every day, and Nicole has been his biggest supporter through all of it. Keith has credited her with giving him the strength and motivation to stay on the right path. What's really beautiful is how Keith talks about Nicole in general. Even after almost 18 years of marriage, he still lights up when he mentions her name. He talks about how beautiful she is, not just physically, but as a person. He admires her talent, her intelligence, her strength, and her heart. In interviews, you can see how much he genuinely respects and adores her. It's not just empty celebrity talk. You can tell he means every word. And Nicole seems to feel the same way about Keith. She's talked in her own interviews about how Keith makes her feel safe and loved. She's said that he's the most supportive person in her life and that she can be completely herself around him. Coming from someone who had been through a very public divorce before meeting Keith, that level of trust and security is really meaningful. Keith has also been honest about the fact that marriage isn't always easy. He doesn't pretend that everything is perfect all the time. He's admitted that they have disagreements and challenges like any couple, but the difference is how they handle those challenges. They don't let conflicts spiral out of control. They talk things through. They listen to each other. They're willing to compromise and see things from the other person's perspective. Keith says that's what real love is, not some fairy tale where everything is always perfect, but choosing to work through the hard times together. One thing that really stands out in Keith's recent reflections is his gratitude. At 57 years old, he seems to have a real appreciation for how lucky he is to have found Nicole and to have built this life with her. He doesn't take it for granted. He knows that what they have is special and rare, especially in Hollywood where relationships often fall apart. He's grateful every day that Nicole chose him and continues to choose him. Keith has also talked about how they keep romance alive in their marriage. It's easy for long-term couples to fall into routines and forget to do special things for each other. But Keith says they make an effort to surprise each other, to have date nights, to write each other love notes, and to show appreciation for the little things. Nicole has shared stories about Keith writing her songs and playing them for her, which is pretty much the most romantic thing ever when your husband is a famous musician. They also seem to genuinely enjoy spending time together. A lot of long-term couples end up living separate lives even though they're married, but Keith and Nicole actually want to be around each other. They travel together when they can. They attend events together. They support each other's careers by showing up to premieres and concerts. But they also value quiet time at home, just the two of them or with their daughters, away from all the chaos of fame. Looking back at everything Keith has shared about his marriage to Nicole, there's a clear pattern. Success in a long-term relationship, especially when you're both famous and dealing with all kinds of pressures, comes down to a few key things. You have to really commit to each other and make your relationship a priority. You have to communicate openly and honestly, even when it's uncomfortable. You have to support each other through the tough times, not just the good times. You have to keep working on your relationship and not take it for granted. And you have to genuinely like each other as people, not just love each other romantically. Keith Urban's admissions about his marriage at 57 aren't really shocking secrets or dramatic revelations. But maybe that's what makes them so powerful. The truth about his marriage to Nicole Kidman is that they've built something real and lasting by doing the hard work that any successful relationship requires. They've been honest about their struggles. They've prioritized each other above everything else. They've weathered storms together and come out stronger. And after almost 18 years, they still seem genuinely happy to be together. In a world where celebrity marriages often seem fake or doomed to fail, Keith and Nicole have shown that it's possible to have both massive success and a strong, healthy relationship. But it doesn't just happen by luck. It happens because two people decide that their marriage is worth fighting for every single day. It happens because they choose love over ego, connection over career, and partnership over independence. Keith's honesty about his journey, including his struggles with addiction and his ongoing commitment to sobriety, makes their story even more inspiring. He's not pretending to be perfect. He's showing that you can overcome serious challenges and still build something beautiful if you have the right person by your side and you're willing to do the work. So what's the real truth about Keith Urban's marriage to Nicole Kidman that he's finally admitting at 57? The truth is that love isn't just a feeling, it's a choice you make every day. It's showing up for each other, being vulnerable, communicating honestly, and never stopping trying to make each other happy. It's putting in the effort, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. And it's understanding that a strong marriage isn't about finding a perfect person, it's about two imperfect people who refuse to give up on each other. If you found this story as touching and inspiring as we did, please hit that like button and show some love. Share this video with anyone who believes in real, lasting love. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more amazing celebrity stories and relationship insights. We post new content regularly, and we'd love to have you as part of our community. Thanks so much for watching, and remember, True love really does exist if you're willing to work for it.